Hi, it's Kelly Thorngore, iBloom's founder, and I have been talking a lot this week, so my throat is a little funky, so sorry about that. I am so excited. We are continuing our series. I'm teaching you the time management habits of successful women. And let me just tell you, this one is going to surprise you. However, I think it might just be one of the most important ones. But if we're just meeting for the first time, as I said, I'm Kelly, and I have the awesome privilege of being a part of iBloom. And we produce this iBloom planner each year. And it's super exciting around here because it actually goes on pre-order next week. Next week, you can pre-order your 2019 iBloom planner. And so things are busy around here right now as we get ready to unveil that and super excited about it. So you want to make sure you grab yours. And hopefully yesterday you joined me. And if you're new to the iBloom planner, you got to see a little sample of it with the weekly pages and the monthly pages, and you see you need it. All right, so today, so far, we've talked about identifying our non-negotiables. In the very first habit, I told you, you've got to know your non-negotiables. What are the most important things for you? Then, in video number 2, we talked about eliminating time wasters, and I challenged you to identify and track your time, to get really honest with yourself. How many of you did that? Show me with some comments or some hearts. Have you tracked your time, at least since that day? I've been getting messages, so I'm thrilled to see some of you, and you're aware that, oh my gosh, I don't have time to live into the non-negotiables because I have so many time wasters. Yeah. All right. So, and then yesterday we talked about that big power question that is my favorite. What is the best use of your time? What is going to move you closer to your goal? So today, this one's probably going to surprise you a little bit, but it's super important. This one is you have to schedule time to unplug. And you're probably thinking, what? This is about time management. And really we mean productivity and I want to get more done. And you are telling me to unplug. Well, there is numerous research that shows that if we take intentional times to unplug, especially to unplug from work, whatever that work is for you, whether it's a business or maybe your role as a stay-at-home mom, this one is key. You have to have time to unplug. And we live in an era right now where we are attached to our phones. Just recently, I've really been intentional about not being attached to my phone. And since I've done that, I've been so much more aware of how attached people are to their phones. Just recently, I was sitting in a restaurant by myself and was looking around the restaurant. I had my planner out and I was working, and I noticed everyone in this restaurant, like even if they were in with their family, even if they were with one other person, every single person at this moment was glued to their phone, skimming through social media. Like I could see their news feeds. And I thought, wow. And that was probably me before I became more aware of it. At this same restaurant, we saw one of my daughter's friends, and the people that she was with, they were on their phone the entire time and they never talked to the kids. And the little girl finally came over and sat with us and she said, "Do you think I could join you guys?" And it hit me that we are missing out on moments. And I'll tell you, there is nothing going on my phone. There's not an email. There's not a messenger. There's not a news feed that is more important than being in the moment. And so this is one that I've been really intentional about the last few weeks and am really trying to live into it. And so I'll tell you what I'm doing. You've got to find what works for you. And I don't do this every single day. Like yesterday I was traveling and so it didn't quite look like this, but most days at 3 o'clock, I remove email, Messenger, and Facebook from my phone at 3 o'clock. At 3 o'clock, that's when I kind of transition. It's right before I go pick up my daughter from school. It's right before we do our family activities and dinner and, all the family stuff that has to be done or that gets to be done. And then after they're in bed, I might load it back on my phone or just hop on my computer to check in for a moment. And then being really intentional about unplugging the rest of the evening. Now, again, it doesn't always look like this. It's the end of the month right now for me. It's we're getting to go into the planner season. So these next 12 days are like the busiest days of my year. So it looks a little bit different for these next 12 days. My husband and I were just talking about that. But this is so important. And I'll tell you, this plays out too in how you start your day. So I make sure that before I go to bed, that Facebook, Messenger, and email are off my phone. Those are my 3 big ones. If yours is Pinterest, if yours is Twitter or Instagram or whatever it is, get it off your phone before you go to bed. Because the last thing you want to do is wake up in the morning and see all those notifications. I've been really intentional. Also at 3 o'clock, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. And I have a few people like my mom and some close friends who are able to call in, my husband, and I can get their calls. But everybody else goes straight to voicemail. Everybody else, there are no notifications for texts. It just goes there. And then I get to choose when I look at it. And then even more than that, because I'm a little bit addicted to my phone, I will admit it, is I often leave my phone in my office unless I'm using it for like a recipe or, something like that, which that's part of the issue is that, at least for me, like we use our cameras, I have, the Pocket app, and I use all my recipes. Like it's hard. It's really, really hard. Rhonda said, what do you mean by off your phone? I actually delete the apps. So every day at 3 o'clock, I delete the apps. If for some reason, like I need to go live, I have to reinstall Facebook that evening so that I can go live so you guys can see me. Otherwise, I just kind of leave it off. So it just depends. But yeah, more than turning off the notifications, I actually uninstall it every single day and just reinstall. And sometimes I'm doing that multiple times a day, but then I don't see it. And so I'll tell you a little secret here is that I would often get distracted by whatever was happening on my phone, and I would miss these moments with my family. And I know you guys, I know your family is more important than what's going on your phone. I know, but it's not just our phone. A lot of us, it's a thought process. It's a thought process. Like we're thinking about it, and so we're not fully present. And so one of the things that Brendan Bouchard taught me is that he has these transition moments. And so I told you at 3 o'clock, there's an alarm on my phone. It goes off. It says it's time to shut down, Kelly. So at 3 o'clock, that goes off. I know that's my cue to turn off all my apps, like to uninstall them. And I have this moment that I intentionally transition. Like I go from being a business owner, inspiring, Facebook, all that stuff. I go from that and I transition into being a wife and a mom. And so I sit and I intentionally think about, I am unplugging. I'm unplugging from work. I'm unplugging from the conversations that I'm in the midst of, all the messages and emails and all that. And I'm transitioning. And so one of the things I've started doing is that as I go to pick up my daughter and then we go to pick up my son, is I don't have the radio on. I don't have podcasts on. Do you know how hard that is for me? I am a personal growth junkie. I love podcasts. I love to learn. But I use that drive time to pray and to ask God to help me to be the best mom to my kids, to be the best wife to my husband when he comes home. And I ask God to show me, God, help me to know how I can love and serve my family today. And that time of transition, it's only about 15 minutes, probably less than that, maybe 10 minutes, but it changes my psyche. I'm no longer a business owner. I transition intentionally. I unplug The only thing I can think of is like, it's literally like taking a plug out of the business owner's socket. Because those of you who are business owners, you know, entrepreneurs, like we're always thinking about our business because we love it. And by the way, if you're not in a business you love, you shouldn't be in it. But we love it. We love the ideas. We love the people. We love all the things about it. But we got to take time to intentionally unplug. And so what I want to encourage you to do is to identify, how do you need to unplug? What's keeping you distracted? What's keeping you focused on something other than the people right in front of you? What is keeping you from your best? And here's what I found as I've been doing this, that in the morning, when I turn on those things, I didn't miss anything. I didn't miss not one single thing that happened after 3 o'clock that I needed to know about. I didn't miss it. It was there waiting, and not to mention I was so much more efficient of addressing it because I wasn't multitasking throughout my day. And so you may be thinking, okay, that's great for you, but I could never do that. In fact, I had one of my coaching clients just recently tell me that. She's like, Kelly, that's awesome for you, but I could never do that. I'll tell you, I thought I could never do it either. And I realized I'm really not that important. It can wait. I'm not in a business where I'm a medical doctor. Like, no one is going to die if I don't respond. They're not. Now, you might be a medical doctor and you have to be available, and that's a little bit different. But I think some of us, we feel like we can't do something, and we got to get honest with ourselves and say, wait a minute, I can do this. This is my one and only life. And let me tell you, I don't believe God wants you to be distracted and frantic and running from one task to the next task to the next task. So we've got to schedule some time to unplug and to create margin in our schedule so that we're not showing up late. We're not harried everywhere we go. Just recently, I was at the grocery store and I was checking out, and there was a woman behind me, and she said, oh, I'm in no hurry. Like, you can go in front of me. And I stood there and I thought to myself, like, she would have thought I was crazy. I was like, well, I have margin in my day. I'm not in a hurry either. And all that came out was, wow, well, I'm not in a hurry either. And I'm so grateful. Let me just tell you, that's not always been my life. I was super type A personality. I still am. And I needed to fill every minute moment of the day with something productive. I didn't take time for me. I didn't, and even the time I did take for me, it was planning or it was business because I love it. But here's the thing. I am paying a price for living that life. If you don't know, I have 2 autoimmune disorders. One is in remission, one's on its way to remission. But that's only because for the last 1.5 years, I've invested in me. I've made time for these things I'm telling you about, to unplug and to create margin and to transform my life. I was just having a conversation with my massage therapist, and we were talking about how grateful we are for autoimmune disorders because they taught us a new way of life. And so let me just tell you, if you're not struggling with your health, don't get to the place where you have to have the wake-up call. Let my wake-up call be your wake-up call. That you can have margin, you can unplug, you can enjoy this one and only life that God has entrusted to you. Because I believe He has a plan and a purpose for your life that is so much bigger than you can imagine. And I really believe right now the enemy is using our phones and social media and email and all this stuff to keep us distracted and busy and running. We're missing the whole point of life. So I would challenge you today to spend some time really looking at where do you need to unplug? What has control over your life right now? And what are you going to do about it? Because life is too short to run and race and grind. My dear friend Shay Bynes has the book Grace Over Grind, which you need to have. It's amazing. But it's talking about operating in God's grace for us and that we don't have to hustle and grind. And I am proof of that. I've done the hustling, I've done the grinding, and I would much rather operate in grace. I'm still productive with my time. I still love to love and serve. I still love business. None of that changed. But it's allowing me to live into my priorities in the way I desire. And again, your priorities are probably different, but how are you going to unplug so that you can live into them? All right, I'll see you tomorrow with time management habit number 5. And just know I'm going to be praying for you as you get honest with yourself about how you need to unplug. And I would encourage you to be bold and to be brave. To be bold and to be brave. Christy just said, what do you do to rest? Yeah, Christy, that's great. For me, one of the things that I'm being intentional about is that I told you my kids go to bed about 7:30. 7:30 to 8, I do a little bit of work. Like I check in to make sure nothing happened. I don't need to respond to something. I do quick check-in. And then typically from 8 to 9, that's my me time. And so I'll often journal. I'll take a bath. I'll get in my sauna. Like I have a whole list of things I want to do tonight, actually. From about 8:30 to 9, because I have a commitment before. I'm going to read a new magazine that I got that I'm excited about. So something simple. So that's key. And then from 9 to 10 is my time with my husband. And that's where we're intentional about investing in our relationship. And then at 10, we're going to bed. So I've really had from about 8 to 10 of rest, of just getting my brain ready. And I have a whole sleep routine, which, by the way, we have a Facebook group called I Bloom Health and Happiness. If you are not in that group and you'd like to be added to the group, just leave a comment and say add me, and I'll add you over there. But in that, I did a whole session on sleep not too long ago. And so if you would like to see that, Christy, I can get that for you. All right. Have an awesome day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.